Hi everyone! It's that time of year that my office gets together to do a cookie exchange. I think this is common in a lot of offices, but it's something we've done for years. So, looking through my recipes, I wanted to try a cookie that would be both easy to make, but also look like I put in some effort. So this year, I decided to go with the Brownie Krinkles from Mindy Segal's book, Cookie Love. I've wanted to use recipes from this book for so long, but I got stuck on the chocolate chip cookie recipe and I never made it past that. So we're gonna fix that today. There are a lot of different versions of this recipe on the internet, but like I said, I've never tried this one before, so come bake with me. As it goes with every video, it feels like, we're starting off by chopping up some chocolate. It doesn't have to be this fine, but this is a pretty thick bar, and it like shaves more than it chops. Let's give it a few extra chops. The smaller the pieces, the faster they'll molt. At least that's my theory. All right, now for the double boiler. All right, I've got my double boiler set up with my water underneath, not touching the bowl. And we're gonna add in our chocolate. Let's see if I can do this without dumping it all over the floor. Okay. So now we're just going to work this around until it starts to melt. Probably take a few minutes, as is my favorite thing to do. Let's speed this up. Okay, finally, one eternity later, and all of the chocolate is melted. I'm going to turn off the stove, but I'm going to let it sit over the double boiler so that it stays warm, because the instructions say to mix the ingredients when the chocolate is still warm. So that'll help us keep the chocolate warm. And we'll move on to the next thing. This is definitely one of those recipes that tests my resolve to not have to wash every single thing in my kitchen. Whoops. So we need a separate bowl for the eggs and the vanilla, which I'm doing now. Then we're going to need another bowl for the dry ingredients. And then we're going to use the stand mixer. If you count the bowl that the chocolate is in, that's 4 bowls. Why? It's so annoying. Honestly, the only reason I'm doing this in the separate bowls as opposed to, it is 1 teaspoon, right? Yes. The only reason I'm doing this in the separate bowls is because I know the Dutch process cocoa powder won't mix correctly if I just dump it in the mixer. But I really feel like if I wasn't filming, that's what I'd do anyway. Like, that's the normal thing to do, right? Only people who went to fancy culinary schools actually use all of those different bowls. Or people who don't have to do their own dishes. All right, that's mixed up. Next bowl of things. All right, now for our dry ingredients. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong in the comments, but do most people really separate out all of their ingredients like this and use all of these different bowls? Tell me I'm not the only person who doesn't. So this is the flour, cocoa powder, baking powder number 1, baking powder number 2, kosher salt, sea salt, and we whisk. That's bowl number 3. All right, we're gonna start by mixing our oil. This recipe is unique in that it has oil instead of butter. And our sugar. We're gonna mix until just combined. All right, now we're gonna pour in our chocolate, and the bowl has been sitting on the stove this whole time, so the chocolate is still pretty warm. The bowl is too warm for me to just hold with my hands. Also, this chocolate is unsweetened. If you accidentally stick your finger in it, don't lick it off. It's disgusting. Ask me how I know. And we mix. All right, riddle me this. We're supposed to add the eggs and the vanilla one at a time. Then what was the point of putting them in their own bowl? All right, that's fully incorporated. Next. Our dry ingredients added all at one time. Again, why? I could have just dumped them all in here individually. All right, that's fully mixed. Now we are going to cover it and put it in the refrigerator for 30 minutes. Our dough has been chilling for a little over half an hour, maybe an hour. You know, stuff happens. So now we're going to portion it out, coat liberally with powdered sugar, and then repeat. I'm going to do 2 cookie trays, and then we'll bake them. That's done. We're gonna put these in the oven. Okay, these are going in the oven for I think 4 minutes, and then I'll flip them and we'll do another 4 minutes. Okay, the oven is beeping. We should be done. Ooh, those look good. And they smell just like brownies. Alright, we're going to let those cool on the pan for a few minutes, and then we'll put them on a cooling rack. Okay, we let it cool for a couple of minutes. Let's see how easy these are to get off the sheet pan. Oh, they hold their shape, or what is this, cooling rack. They hold their shape pretty good. I don't like to travel too far with my cookies. That's just a recipe for me to drop them, which is always very disappointing. We're gonna do the same with the rest of the cookie dough, and then we'll be all done.
Here are my final thoughts. My complaints about the ridiculous number of bowls called for in this recipe aside, these cookies are great. They're exactly everything I want in a brownie in a cookie form. They're rich, dense, gooey, with crispy edges on the second day, and incredibly chocolatey. I've come up with a few important metrics that I'm going to start trying to include, using a 1 to 5 scale to give each recipe some consistency in its review. If you like this, or you have anything else you'd like me to add, please put it in the comments. If you hate it, well, please tell me that also. I'm really trying to improve my videos and also be useful. So here goes. Is this recipe worth making at home? With 1 being Oreos, totally not worth making at home, and 5 being chocolate chip cookies, totally not worth buying. This recipe is a 5, I'd say. Make these at home. They hold up great, and I've never seen a commercially produced version of this to be nearly as soft and gooey as these are. Can this recipe be made in advance, with 1 being a souffle, absolutely not going to keep well, and 5 being fruitcake, will literally keep forever? I'd say this recipe is a 4. Yes, you can absolutely make these in advance, and they hold up pretty well for about a week before they really start to get hard, which is almost never a problem, as they were all eaten within a few days of making, except for the one I held back to see how long they'd hold up. And when I put that one in the microwave for 10 seconds, it was immediately back to its original gooey form, though the powdered sugar did melt a bit. How hard was this recipe, with 1 being instant pudding and 5 being the multi-layer death by chocolate cake? This recipe is like a 3. I absolutely do not think you need to use the 5 bowls called for in the recipe. I think 3 is the max needed. But otherwise, this recipe was pretty easy to follow. It doesn't require any special knowledge, techniques, or equipment, and only takes about an hour, half of which is just letting the dough rest in the fridge. So I say go for it. If you're looking for a show-stopping cookie, or you just want something super chocolatey for yourself, these are perfect. If you've made it this far, thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I upload a new video every Friday. And hit that like button if you liked it. That really helps me out. If you have a recipe you'd like to see me try, please put it in the comments, and I'll see you next week.